Hi, Dr. Fox here. We are taking a Qualtrics survey, the welcome survey that we created, and we are exporting it to SPSS. Pretty straightforward. The data and analysis button, click that once. It's a hyperlink. We go over to export and import, click that once, and export data. We have a number of different options. We're going to choose SPSS and make sure that we download all fields. Click download, and it just brought it in down here. And we can double click on it and open that right up. Very first thing that we want to do is take a quick peek at the data. So here's the data view. And anytime you're bringing exporting out of like SurveyMonkey or Qualtrics, there's a lot of different things that run in the background, like IP addresses and all kinds of different things that that we really don't need in our data set. It just kind of clutters up everything. So to clear out a variable, you can click on the top row and then clear. That's one way. Or you can grab a bunch of them, do a right click and clear, or we can go over to variable view, click on one, clear, or click on a number of them. And those are all the, oops, actually, let's get rid of all of these up to the user language and do a right click and clear. So now we just have our data, and that's really what we want. We don't want a lot of other things in the data set. Okay, the next thing that we do is we clean up our variable view. So it's real important that we really have a good clean variable view. The next thing that we'll do after we do this is we'll go into our data view and take a look at, see if we see anything odd. Now, also at this point, I would create a file, save your file, and call it master raw data, whatever you want to call it, and date it. Set it aside, open it back up, and now create a working draft. So I always like to do that before I mess with anything in here. Do a file save it as raw master data set, whatever you want to call it, but some way to indicate that it's all the raw data untouched. Okay, so let's pretend we did that. Another thing with our Qualtrics is that we didn't do anything with the actual name of each question. So I kind of like to leave them Q1, Q2, because you can go back into Qualtrics and see that. But what we could do also, well, let's not. I like to change the names in here though, because once we start doing some analysis, like descriptive statistics, and say, for example, descriptives, we can toggle in between. This brings up the label view, but if you do a right click, you can display the variable names, and then so it's a shorter version. If we did these, there's no way to see, like, rank these fruits. Well, which one is it? So you have to go to display variable names, and now we still don't know which one it is. So I like to really clean up the name to make sure that when we're doing the analysis, we can very quickly see, so forth. So this is a code name, so I'm just going to call this one code. This one is dominant hand. I'm going to call that one hand. POME. FRCITRUS. F-R-T-R-O-P, tropical. So we've just kind of cleaned them up, and now when we analyze the data, for example, descriptive, very quickly we'll switch to variable name, and now these look like they make sense. You know, these are fruit, these are berries, these stone fruit. You know, do you have pets? What quarter of the year you were born? Are you know, what hand are you? So forth. Here are the sweets, all the SWs there together. Do you know, social media, so forth. So it's cleaner. Now, typically, when we're working with quantitative data, and we're bringing in a survey, the only time you really have string data is if you're asking the respondents to write in, you know, type in something in text in, you know, a narrative form. But most of the time we're looking at numeric data. So I just clicked on that and copy years in education, do a right click paste, right click paste, oops, paste, there we go. These are all numeric. So very rarely do we have string. Sometimes if you ask a question, you know, respond in a paragraph or whatever. Okay, that's string. And how much, you know, how many characters are you giving them? If you're giving them a lot, then you need, you know, 2,000 or whatever. That's, you know, kind of the number of characters. With the code name, you know, 60 is plenty. We'll just leave all these other at 40. I'm going to copy and paste. Oops. Paste. So they're all cleaned up. All of our data, there's nothing that really is, you know, decimal, so that's, all of these should be 0. Labels, these are kind of strange. They're so long and rank the fruit and preference and so forth. And what happens is when you create different outputs, when you know, analyze data, all of a sudden you'll see all of these words here, and it's just too much. So I like to shorten the code, the labels down to something that kind of makes sense. It's not too long. It would look okay in a table or a chart. So, for example, this one, I'm just going to call it code name. Dominant hand, quarter, ranked tropical. Okay, so we have new labels, and I think we'll like that in the outputs. The beauty of exporting from Qualtrics into SPSS are the values are already created, so we don't have to create these. But I like to look through them. Left, right, ambidextrous, good. First, second, third, fourth. Yes, no. Like a great deal, like somewhat, neither like nor dislike, dislike somewhat, dislike a great deal. For these, you know, if we had been thinking back in our questionnaire creation, when I think about if I like something a great deal, I think let's give it a higher score. And if I dislike a great deal, I would give it a lower score. This is kind of opposite. Though, you know, these aren't really scores. It's more ordinal data, I guess. So it's fine, but it's just one of those little things that would kind of bug me a little bit. But years, cars, how frequently, never, sometimes, frequently, very frequently. So that one's from never, so that's lower to you know, very, very frequently. Okay. None, none, number of apps, none. And these are all just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Missing data, this is a small data set. We can visually see everything in about 2 seconds. 1 second. we can see everything on one screen, so we'll go through the missing data. So it's really not necessary to do anything with that here with this very small data set. We have a very large data set, very difficult to see missing values, so forth. Column is just the column width, and you can you can toggle between the number and so this changes the column width. Like for example, number of followers. Well, no, let's do years in education. We can either change it here, or let's exaggerate it. Number of years in education, 31. That's what it is currently. So we could drop it down here, or you go here and you just tuck it in a little bit. And now number of years in education is the column width is 9. So however you like to do these, you can also click and drag across the top and then just change one of them and it will change all of them equally, just like I think Excel does that as well. So I like it so that we can see, if we toggle between the numbers will, too much width there. But if you toggle back to the actual text, this looks pretty good. We could tighten up on this a little bit. Oops. And then we'll make all of these the same, maybe something like that. Okay. So back to variable view. The align, I would keep them all right or all of them left. Probably right. That's kind of normal. The string, because it's string, I think it started on the left, and that's fine. That makes sense. The measure in SPSS, you already know, I'm sure. We have nominal, ordinal, and scale data, and the nominal, that's kind of categorical type of data variables. The ordinal is the ranked data, and then the interval and ratio in SPSS, it pretty much deals with those numbers the same way, so they just call it scale. They kind of lump those two together and call it scale. And we want to make sure that our variables, I like to think about it this way. If there's something that it doesn't make sense to do a mean, it's probably nominal. If it's if it's number of mode, then we probably want to do it nominal. So dominant hand left or right, that's nominal. Doesn't make sense. Our data set, the mean of our dominant hand is 1.2 or 1.3. That doesn't make sense. No, we want frequencies. How many? This is count data. How many left, how many right, how many ambidextrous. Quarter of the year born. Yeah, we have numbers there, but it's more or less nominal. Pets, yes or no, nominal. Now this would like a great deal, so forth and so on. That's more or less ordinal. We're kind of ranking that in a sense. We and a lot of our Likert type scales are ordinal, technically. Years in education, that's a number. Cars, that's a number. So that's scale. How frequently? That looks like ordinal data. Approximate number of friends on social, that's a number. Pairs of shoes, that's a number. Number of apps on phone. Now we're ranking these fruits. So they're really ordinal. We'll just go with ordinal here. And we'll leave roll alone. So now we've cleaned up our variable view, and we kind of like it. It's we've made everything a little bit more accessible. Now we want to start taking a look at our data view. And if this were basically, because it's a small data set, we'll eye everything. But if it were a larger data set, the very first thing that I would do is go up to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, take a look at our frequencies. This is all of our nominal, so I can move it over, or I can double click. Any other nominal, that's nominal. It's a string, so we don't need to take a look at that. And just very quickly click OK. And what this does, it gives us a good quick visual. Looks like we have some missing data in the dominant hand. Right, ambidextrous, total, missing 1, 12. So everything basically looks okay. There's no left-handed people, but 10 right, 1 ambidextrous. Here's our quarter of the year. Frequency 4, 4, 2, 1. I mean, that all looks kind of normal. We see our percentages here. Pets, 10 people have pets, 1 person doesn't. Okay, we have some missing data. Okay, that's all fine. Nothing really out of the ordinary. It's when you analyze descriptive statistics, and now, instead of frequencies, because that's count data, nominal data in a sense, now we click on descriptives, and this is where we want to move over all of our scale and ordinal data. So we can double click, we can click one time. Actually, I'm going to right click and display variable. But all I'm really looking at are these little icons here. So another way to do this would be to click on the first one and then click on the, I guess the next one. Oh, we can do the whole list. Hold down Control Shift. I'm not sure what you'd do for a Mac. Sorry. And then do a left click, and it grabs all of them, bring them over. We can click on options, but it's all just very basic stuff, and click OK. Now, this is what I'd like to do. Look through, these are ranks, so they're going to be 1 through 4 or 5, I'm not sure, but and everything looks, minimum is 1. Maximum 2, 3, 4. Okay, that looks good. That's fine. Years worked in education. 10 people. The minimum is 5. The maximum is 82. Wait a minute. Something's a little fishy there. Didn't mean to do that. Something's very fishy there. 82 years. We need to check that out. Okay, so we'll kind of tuck that in our brains. Cars and house. 59. Somebody's messing around here. How frequently utilize social media? 1 to 4. Approximate number of followers 0 to 3,000. Yeah, I mean that could be right on, but we'll take a look at that. 3,000. Pairs of shoes 10 to 987. Nobody has. I guess somebody might have 987. I doubt anybody in our class. Number of apps on the phone? No, that looks like a phone number actually. Ranked berries 1 to 5, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, 1 to 5, 1 to 5. Okay, so yeah, we very clearly see something is amiss here. Number of years in education, cars and household, pairs of shoes, and apps on the phone. If I were a betting man, I would say this is probably one person here messing with us. So let's shrink this down and let's do a visual inspection of our data. So everything looks okay here. Now, years in education. If this were a longer data set, I would go click here and then do a right click and do sort descending, and it would bring that 82 right up to the top. Oh, look at that. Cars, 59. Shoes, 987. Apps, that's the phone number. It's all one person, this number one person who is, hey. So, I don't trust any of this data. This just looks bogus. It's not right. It's somebody messing with us. I'm going to clear that data. And we could either do a right click here and click clear. Well, yes, that's what we'll do. Clear. Okay, so they are gone. Okay. Now, I also see down here, it looks like something is going on with number 10 here also. Well, somebody ranked the fruits, but they didn't do anything else. I mean, this is almost useless. I mean, it's pretty much, there's no data here except for the ranking of fruits. You know, do you keep it for that? I don't think so. Let's get rid of it. Clear it out. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We see 10 there. That's case number. Consequently, very quickly, I'd like to always add a case number. Sometimes I do it before I clean the data, sometimes afterwards. But so let's do it after we finish cleaning the data. So these all look kind of right, okay, yes and no, so forth and so on. Now, it looks like years in education, there's a missing data point here. It seems kind of random. Random missing data is a real thing. So there's a number of different ways that we could deal with this. I'm not going to go into missing data at this point, but at this point, we'll just leave it alone, and SPSS can deal with it pairwise. So look that up if you don't know what that is. Listwise or pairwise, basically I'll say it. If we're doing if we were doing analysis on years of education, if we said, and that's the default, delete missing data pairwise, it would basically just take that one out and it wouldn't be a part of the analysis. If we said, if we were doing an analysis on the cars, and we said delete data list-wise, guess what? If there's any missing data points anywhere in the whole data set, basically this one would be taken out every time. So we can choose whether we want to do list-wise or pairwise. List-wise, basically don't mess with that. Pairwise, that's kind of the way to go. There are other ways to deal with missing data and larger data sets, things that are, where we have to really be careful with our data. We can do it in a little bit more sophisticated manner. This small data set, okay, we have, followers, we have some missing data here. Okay, somebody may not know exactly. Maybe they were a little bit in a hurry. It's kind of missing random data. We simply delete it pairwise in the analysis. Same way with shoes. Who knows? Somebody probably said, I don't know. Number of apps. Maybe somebody didn't really want to stop and count them or something. This person may not have, may not have a smartphone. Maybe. And it looks like 2 people didn't rank their fruits. Don't know why, but they didn't. Maybe they were having trouble with the device that they were on, like couldn't figure out how to rank them or something. So it's just random missing data. So we are good. We're golden. Everything is, we've kind of cleaned up the data in a visual sort of way. We ran the descriptive frequencies and descriptives to look at our nominal and our numerical type data. So we're ready to roll. One thing I said I'd like to always do is I like to add a case number, because if we ever end up deleting any other, if this is a larger data set, if we delete out squirrel for some reason, now the case number, Janet, is no longer 6. Janet is now 5. So, because these are fixed. So I always like to add a case number at the very beginning. It actually creates it at the end, but I like to bring it to the very beginning so that whenever we're talking about data, we can always say, or if we're looking at outlier data or graphs, we can see where those it'll actually have that case number. So to do that, so you always want to do this with a data set. Transform, compute variable, and when you click on, over in the function group, you click on all, the very first thing to pop up is case num. $ case num. We double click that, and we can type in case here, click OK, and we'll see what it does. In our variable view, here's the case. We'll put in the label as case number. We don't need decimals, don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Yeah, technically it's even though it's a number, it is nominal. It's just, it's which case. We'll just leave it nominal. Not a big deal. It's not like we're doing any analysis on it. But let's go back over to the data view. So if we want to move this over, we click on it and then we double click. There we go. Click on it and then slowly bring it over to where we want it. Let's just drop it there. Let's see if we can do that in the variable view. Oops. We can. That's easier. Bring it right up there. So now it's our very first one, and I'll go over to the data view, and here it is right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I like it. I would rather it be over on the left. So let's go back to our variable view. Here it is, left. Go back to our data view. It's now on the left. If you want it to, if you had 85 or whatever, some people like these to be all like 3 digits or something like that. So real quickly, I'll do it again. Transform, compute. It already has it in here, case num, and we simply do a +100. You can type that in. Click OK. Let's look at our variable view. Let's bring it to the top. Let's get rid of the decimals. Let's call it our case number. Don't need values, missing data. Let's go left. We'll leave it at scale. It doesn't really matter, actually. Okay, and then let's go back to our data view now. So this is 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, so forth. So now anytime that we're working with the data, if we can actually identify a particular case as, case 105, or case 109 had an outlier or something like that. Case 110 had missing data. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful to you, and we are ready to do some analysis now. Blessings.